I just got back from an IPSC shoot and I got my Ruger SR1911 in here, and I realized I've never actually done a cleaning video with you, and you can see I got my guns locked up tight due to ridiculous Canadian laws saying that I have to have my case locked, my gun locked, and everything else. So, you know, here we go. Let's unlock it and get into it. Here's my Ruger. Extra magazine. Put that away. Don't need that anymore. Goodbye. Okay. Get the gun out here, get it taken apart, and then we will give it a clean, and I will show you how I clean my guns. I'm going to just say right off, I'm a bit of a gun cleaning Nazi. I can't go out to the range and come back without cleaning every single gun I had. And it's just, you know, it's one of those things, if you want to keep the value of your gun, you really need to keep it clean, keep it from any corrosion or any pitting or anything like that. So, the Ruger, yeah, nothing in it, empty. Let's, so the first thing you do is push this little pin in there, and then you can actually move the bushing out of the way. None too easily. They actually send you a tool for this if you can't do it. There we go. So that whole piece comes out right there. Then the bushing turns the other way, and you can pull it out. There's your bushing, there's your piece, and just keep all your bits separate there, and that way now you want to slide your slide back now that the recoil spring's released, and then once it lines up, there's a little notch right there. You can see just a tiny little notch. Once that lines up, you can push the lock through. That whole piece comes out. Now you can take your whole slide right off, and look how dirty that is. You can tell I've been doing some shooting. Take that out. Take that out. Boom, boom, boom. There's all your main bits right there. So, first thing I do is I use some sort of just a cleaner, remover, whatever. This one's also a dry lube, which is good because when you spray into the tiny little parts, whether it's your hammer or your firing pin, you don't want something that's going to dry out any of the oils or lubes you get in there. So I use this stuff just to kind of loosen up the crud. Just give it a shot all over, get it nice and clean. And you want to get as little of this stuff on your fingers as possible because it is pretty heavy chemicals, right? So I don't normally wear gloves when cleaning, but you know, I do try to keep as much of the stuff off my hands as possible. So once I pretty much soak the gun inside and out, especially the really dirty areas, with this product, I just kind of let it sit for a little bit. Make sure you do it in the barrel, because the barrel is probably the most important part. If you don't take care of your barrel, you're going to lose your accuracy and your gun value pretty quick. These little pieces here, just a little squirt. There we go. And basically just kind of, like I said, coat everything a little bit in that product. It's going to dry pretty quick. So now you get, I buy cheap t-shirts, cut them up, and then I use them for rags. I use white ones because when they get too dirty, I throw them out and get a new one. Get some brushes here in my cleaning kit. Don't use copper brushes, they're pretty hard on the finish. Nylon ones are pretty good. Or if you gotta get into the really nitty areas, just a little bit of that metal brush. But let's get a nylon one because they're pretty gentle. So make sure you get into all those grooves really, really good, because you want to get every bit of that fouling out of there. Your lug grooves, make sure you clean all that out. And I use a small end to get into all the tight little spaces. Pipe cleaners work real well. Q-tips work real well. And then when you get to the heavy duty areas, like the firing pin, which gets really fouled, let her rip with that heavy brush. Clean that out of there. Keep in mind, if you use this on the outside, you are going to scratch your gun. So make sure if you're doing like the finish areas, just use a light nylon brush, because you don't want to beat it up too bad. It'll look pretty awful. So once you've scrubbed kind of as good as you can, I just give it a little shot, because the blast of this stuff will actually knock loose some of the stuff that you didn't get out on the brush. There we go. And then lastly, I'll take my white rag and just try to wipe it up clean. What I like to do, see, you can't really get your fingers down those grooves, so I'll actually get like a cleaning rod and take the cleaning rod and stick it down in the grooves like that, and that'll actually get, see, actually get down in those tight little grooves where you can't get with your finger, right? Because if you're like me, you get fat fingers. So I use that to kind of just get the cloth down into the hard to reach areas, right? There you go. So there's that bit. That's clean. Set that aside, we can get rid of those locks. Okay, let's do the frame, which gets really dirty. It's hard to reach areas now. See all this build up right there? Take the heavy duty brush to that, because you want that as smooth as possible anyways. Get your metal brush. I don't know what that's called, launch ramp or something maybe. Take your heavy duty brush to those spots you need to be really smooth and clean. Otherwise you're going to get some failure of feeds and some jams and some awful things. Yeah, that's pretty good. Take a little bit of that. White rag here, you can see, look how much dirt's got on that just from cleaning the slide and a little bit of the frame. It doesn't take long for these to get dirty. I could probably clean about 2 or 3 guns and then it's time for garbage and a new one. Get my little rod here, get down those little hard to reach areas. But don't scratch up your gun like I just did. Look at that. Here's another good trick. Okay, down the magazine well, set that there. Take your rod, push that through. Grab it down the other end. Look at that. Now you can kind of clean your magazine well, just through pulling it one way and the other way. Back where your hammer is, because a lot of the grease and valing gets back in there. See how clean that loading ramp is now? Look at that. Just as shiny as can be. Beautiful. Okay, there. So slide, frame. Now the barrel. I've let that sit a little bit with the product inside it. Some people use the rods with patches and stuff. I'm kind of partial to the bore snakes. I've been using these for a long time. This is a 45 caliber one. And this is how easy it is. You run it through one side. You make sure you pull up straight with the other hand. You see how much friction there is there? It is a tight squeeze. So let's do it one more time. And then I'll actually go through the process of putting a little more solvent in that bore. Make sure it's really clean. This time I'm actually going to use a different product here, which I'm almost out of. This is another Hoppy's foam cleaning. So you put it down the end here. There you go. Once it's through the other end, leave it for a second. Okay, so last couple pieces here. Probably get rid of the brush. Quick spray. Like I said, this is actually a lubricant too, so there's no harm in using a lot of the product. Can't get through that bushing? Use your rod. Check that out. Look at that. How to clean the inside of that bushing? That easy. Okay, almost there. A couple more pieces. Clean that one. Take the recoil spring off there. Ta-da! Okay, there's all your parts. Good and clean.
So, once your gun's all clean, the first thing you're going to put back together is your slide. So, the lugs where the barrel sits down in is always important to keep that nice and oiled. So, a couple drops down in those little lug grooves, drop and drop. So just a little in there, just like that. Barrel goes in. And then I just kind of move it back and forth and slide that barrel just a little bit out, just to get the arrow, get the oil moving a little bit, same way the barrel would. Okay, easy enough. Now you're going to put in your recoil spring.
So, give everything a little dusting. I use this Rem oil for everything, and I just give everything just a quick little dusting with the oil. No harm, just giving the metal a little bit of conditioning. And this piece here is where the hammer slides back and forth. So I put a little bit of grease, just a little bit, just along that line right there. Now, there's the slide. Next, the frame. You don't need much, just a little bit of grease on both sides. That's probably actually more than enough. And then we're going to put the whole slide on. This part actually confused me for the longest time. I could never figure out how to get this piece to line up properly. And here's the secret. Hold it straight up like this, and then it actually wants to hang down, right? So once you get it all the way back, you put your lock in, push it through, close your slide, put the end on here, put your bushing in, and then all you're going to do is just push this piece down. Don't lose it, because it will take your eye out if you hit it. Close that, and there you go. Get that grease nice and moving. Clean the extra off the back. Take your nice oil rag and just give it that little bit of polish and shine. And there you are. What looks like a brand new Ruger SR1911, completely clean, greased, oiled, the whole works. That's how I do it. Subscribe if you like my videos, and if I did anything wrong, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, watch all my other stuff, and yeah, we'll see you next time.